Welcome to the Two Thumbs Up podcast. Glad you're here. Thanks, Chase, for being on here. Just wanted to kind of dive into maybe your history and sort of who you are and what you do and your company, your background a little bit. If you wouldn't mind sharing some of that with us, that'd be sweet.
Sure, yeah. So my name's Chase Clavell. I am the office manager, case supervisor, negotiator at the law offices of Roberto Hernandez. I've been here about a year and a half and have worked in the personal injury industry for almost 15 years now. Most of that time is spent at another big firm here in the Valley.
Yeah, very cool. When we had lunch a couple weeks ago, you were telling us about some of your passions that you are involved with, and some of the, and maybe even some of the reasons you do those things now is because of sort of your experience with the injury that you had, and
Mhm.
how part of the Two Thumbs Up podcast is talking about how those circumstances and those situations change someone's life, how they
Mm.
overcame them, what they learned. And that's what's the meat behind the story, was what I'd like to say. Um, how has let's back up in time here a little bit. Like, I don't know
Okay.
how many years you want to back up.
Yeah.
Let's back up. So you grew up where?
I grew up here in Murray, Utah.
Yeah.
Went
And
to Murray High
Murray
School.
High. Did you play sports in high school? What was your passion in high school?
I did. I played baseball,
Oh,
basketball. I was on the golf team, the
nice.
track team for a short period of time. So,
So
yeah.
you end up down one day. What age were you when you were down in southern Utah in this whole
I was 24,
24?
April 30th, 2005. My best friend and I, there's a big car show in Moab every year, the end of April.
Yeah.
And so we used to go down there every year. I've got an old 72 Chevrolet pickup that I would take down there every year. And so we went down there for it's called the April Action Car Show. And we got down there a little late on a Friday, couldn't find a camp spot, and we ended up a little outside of the town by Cane Creek Springs.
Hmm.
Found a nice camp spot kind of right along the edge of a cliff. So
Funny, not funny, right? So here you are camping, and you kind of told me the how this sort of happened. If you're open to sharing some of that, so
yeah, kind of the embarrassing side of it. I'm the world's poster boy now for don't pee off of a cliff.
yeah,
And as we were hanging out that night, my best friend and I were walking out and peeing off the edge of this cliff. I guess it's a guy thing. I don't know the
yeah.
fascination behind that, but
It's all natural, right? It's
yeah,
mhm.
something about it. And yeah, that night it started to rain. We went to a little bit early, and I got up early in the morning, got breakfast started, and walked out to the edge of that cliff to do just that, and woke up at the bottom.
Yeah. So you fell off the cliff,
Mhm.
and so how far did you fall?
80 feet.
80. Oh, geez.
Yep.
So 80 feet. And do you have any recollection of the moment you felt, the moment? No, that's all kind of
No, no, very.
vague.
Um,
Yeah.
I remember walking out to the edge and just waking up at the bottom. When I woke up at the bottom, I didn't really know where I was at. I tried to sit up, but my back injuries were just so bad I couldn't move. I tried to yell, but when my diaphragm would
Oh,
expand,
geez. Yeah.
I couldn't really make a sound. So,
You know,
um,
it's interesting because I've talked to a number of people and had some experiences in my life too, where you're in this experience where you're falling, or I was, I talk about this experience I had in Taiwan when I was there a long time ago. I actually got hit by a bus on my bike.
oh
And
man.
it was this surreal thing where time sort of dilated somewhat or slowed down. And I have this recollection of how I avoided going under the bus. And it was all this, like you're describing, this you fell 80 feet and you're still here on this podcast having this conversation. I look at that moment like when I got hit by the bus, there was one different choice or one different lean or one different way that you were falling, completely different outcome. So I look at those situations and go, oh yeah, I had an innate thing where I decided to do this instead of this, going under the bus or being catapulted away from the bus. And so, those it it's those decisions or that instinct where potentially you're falling here and like, okay, how am I gonna how am I gonna survive this thing, right? And so you
Yeah.
wake up at the bottom, diaphragm's not working, you probably knocked the air out of you.
Mhm.
What was the first realization like, man, I got something. I've done it here.
Yeah, I mean, just not being able to move. I mean, looking up to the top where I had fallen from, and then my best friend didn't even wake up for almost an hour and a half after that. So,
Wait a second, wait
I,
here. So you were down there.
mhm.
Good gravy. I guess you
Yep.
didn't tell me that at lunch the other day. So,
Yeah.
what were
I mean,
you doing? Yeah.
I wasn't able to yell loud enough for him to hear me, and so I was kind of trying to grab little pebbles or rocks next to me and throw them against the edge of the cliff. He finally did wake up and walked over and saw me down there. He had to hike down to the that ridge to get into where I was at, and so it took some time. He called the Grand County Search and Rescue Team. They told him to stack rocks in the middle of the road, and then he came to kind of comfort me, and yeah.
So this is just about the time when cell phones kind of came out, right? Like,
Yep. Yeah.
so you must have had something to communicate with, but
Yep. Yep.
cell service isn't great back then. I remember AOL dial-up,
Oh yeah.
internet, right?
Yeah.
But you're out there, so he comes down. The search and rescue shows up for that hour and a half time frame. Where were you at? What were you obviously doing,
Yeah, I mean, I
experiencing?
I I thought I was dying, we didn't know, and so just sat there with my best friend and talked about life. At the time, my oldest son was 3 years old, and so
Mm.
um, it was a lot of, hey, make sure Charles plays baseball, make sure he has this experience, make sure his mom doesn't do this with him, and just some things like that. Kind of, it was a scary time.
Yeah, it's interesting when those things come up too, where you're sitting there or you're experiencing this. I've had these other conversations with people that have been through this, and the things that matter the most become very evident, like your
Mhm.
child or your the ones you love. And so um and having that realization like, oh, uh here's where we're at, and this is a possibility, and it's this surreal but yet in many ways very profound experience about life and the purpose of what we're doing and experiencing and the people in our lives, how much that we value them. So
Mhm.
with kind of describe for us, if you're open to it, some of your injuries. um you showed me some pictures of
Yeah.
your x-rays and stuff, and what once you got care, what were you looking at?
So I had compression fractures from L1 through L5. My pelvis and my sacrum were completely shattered on the right side, which led to nerve damage in my right leg, and multiple neurogenic deficits.
Hmm.
So very, very serious injuries. I was life flighted to Grand County, or sorry, I was life flighted to Grand Junction, Colorado. I was there for about 3 days, and then they put me in a little plane and flew me up here to LDS Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I underwent some orthopedic surgeries, about 17 hours to get my pelvis reconstructed, which is, from the pictures you saw, it's mostly metal now,
Yeah.
and to kind of support. And they put a lot of cadaver bone in there to try to supplement and see if they could cause things to grow. some pretty serious injuries.
And so you were 17 hours in surgery. What was your recovery period like? Getting back, walking and those types of things with physical
It,
therapy.
it was slow. It was a long and slow recovery, and we didn't know deficit wise what I was going to regain and what abilities I was going to have. I was very lucky to have a physical therapist who was very motivating and worked with me. A lot of times the doctor would be telling me, I don't know how much you're going to improve at this point, um, and I would go back to the physical therapist and say, "Oh, don't listen to that guy. We've got to do this." And it was a lot of hard work. I was out of work for a year and a half after the accident. I was in a wheelchair. Um,
How much of this whole thing
long
would you
period of time.
say for yourself has been, to recover from something like that is like willpower, sheer will, like, okay, this is where I'm
Yeah.
at, but I'm not going to surrender to this deal. And
That's,
so what would you say? How was that for you?
I mean, that's exactly what it is too. It's all, mind over matter, and you have to believe. And so in my house, we quickly made a rule that we just don't say I can't.
Amen. Yeah.
So my oldest grew up with that around the house, and it's persistence. You have to believe, and you have to keep working hard, because if you give up and you don't keep your eyes on your goals, then you'll fall back into what they're telling you, you know that it should be.
Yeah. The can'ts.
That's right. And
Yeah.
so if I had told myself I can't a long time ago, I never would have got back into the workforce. I was completely approved for Social Security, could have made the decision to stay home. And that's just not what I wanted to do with my life. And so I was determined to keep pushing forward, and not tell myself I can't or I won't. I think limiting statements like that, um, it's one of my favorite lines from Bob Marley is, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves will free our own minds." And in my context, mental slavery would have been telling myself that I agreed with the doctors and my disabilities would hold me back in life.
Right.
And I've never let them do that. And so, um,
Beautiful.
that's kind of the big thing, is just the power of mind.
Yeah, there's this phrase that keeps coming to me too when you said that about Mr. Marley. It's like there's this as you hold that context and you what I call the language of expansion, the language of possibilities. Um, Somehow, some way, our lives unfold in a unique, different way than using the language or the ideas or the mindset of I didn't want to say it either. The I can'ts, right?
Mhm.
And we're not using that word, but the I cans. Yes, I do that. It creates this whole new world of possibilities. It's interesting you mentioned your son and how that potentially has assisted him in his life, your children, with that idea of this is how we do. We're
Mhm.
doers.
Mhm.
And so how has this whole thing, and this has been how many 20 2000, what was the year again you got injured?
And
April.
it's been 20 years this last April.
Yeah, it was just this last April we talked about that. How has your life been different, would you say, because of this experience? I mean, you shared a few things, but
Yeah,
how's the ripple effect affected your marriage and your children and some of your passions that we
yeah.
talked
I
about?
mean, it's affected my life in every way, every day. And in the sense that, once you go through an experience like this, you learn, a gratefulness, and I like to call it the attitude of gratitude, and kind of wake up every day knowing that, every day is a day that I may not have had at some point. And so, recognizing that, and living my life in that way, grateful every day that I have, definitely changes the outlook on things.
Yeah.
Right after my accident, a lot of people would say, "Oh, you were meant to live for some reason, and there's God has some purpose for you in life," which, to be honest with you, is a lot of pressure. And And
Yeah,
it's like,
that's kind of
oh,
cool.
I'm going to do something great with my life. But I think I took that and I realized that the one thing I'm very passionate about is helping other people and making a difference in my community, doing the right thing. And so, in a lot of ways, that's what I've done. And so I try to do everything I can. I went back to the University of Utah, got a degree, intended to go to law school, and then shortly after getting my degree, Ned Siegfried hired me, gave me a good job, making good money, and I never looked back. I didn't know when I first got into the personal injury field. I didn't even know if it was for me. I didn't know much about it, but as soon as I started working with injured people, I had a real connection, and I'm able to empathize and understand what people are going through, um, and really be able to sit down with the client and listen to them and understand what they're going through from that perspective. And I think it's been very beneficial. Uh,
Yeah, to walk through an injury like you did, and then come out and have empathy for someone else's experience. And I relate it to the space we are in is this med legal space where we're assisting these patients or these clients where they've had an injury situation, and it's kind of a world where there's a lot of unknowns for clients and patients, and so um, to have the perspective you have based on your personal history is super valuable to the community, and what you guys do there, and it's a it it's refreshing. I call people like you bridge builders, where you like, no, this is, we can assist you here, and we are open to assisting you. And that's one of the reasons we, again, with concussion pros, is no, brain, your brain is super important. Let's take care of it, um, with some of your other passions in your life. And you're a you're a classic car guy, and I know you
yeah.
love
So
that. Tell us a little bit about that organization that you lead and head up. And um,
yeah. So I mentioned earlier, I've got a 72 C10. My grandpa Clavell gave that to me when he passed away in 1990. So I've now owned that truck for 35 years. Was the first truck I drove in high school to Murray High, and
and I can see something right behind your right shoulder over there, that picture on the wall.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all three of my trucks up there. I don't know, the camera's doing something weird, zooming or something,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, so I kept this truck. I've had it all these years. My dad and I restored it for the second time, starting in 2020 during COVID. And while I was doing that, I started an Instagram page and started meeting some friends that had trucks. And that kind of spiraled into me starting a club. One of the things that we were doing from the beginning was we wanted to do a calendar for the benefit of the American Cancer Society. And so every year we put together this calendar, we sell it, and over the years, it's grown our donation to them. Last year, we donated right around $2,500.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that's been kind of cool. But doing that, I caught the attention of this large organization called C10 Club, and they're a worldwide organization. And I was asked if I wanted to start a chapter here in the state of Utah. There wasn't one, and that was about 3 years ago. And so I've started a chapter here, and I'm the head of state for the chapter in Utah. And we've got about 1,400 members at this point.
Oh,
It's
it's a big,
grown pretty
yeah, it's huge.
rapidly, and we do a lot in our community. This last January, we filled a trailer floor to ceiling with donations that we took down to the LA wildfire victims. We have a really large truck show that we put on in Moab every year. It's called the C10 Red Rock Retreat. This last year, we had 406 trucks, 25 different states, three Canadian provinces, and we were able to raise $15,002 for the Grand County Search and Rescue Team, the
Awesome.
same team
Oh,
that saved
you,
my life 20 years ago. So
yes, that's
back full
right.
circle, giving
And
back to that community, and
yeah, that's right.
we do a big food drive. We've got our Halloween show coming up. We call it Truck or Treat,
Hmm.
and that will be a donation to the Utah Food Bank. And then for Christmas time, we do a large toy drive. Last year, we filled 3 trucks full of toys that we took down to the Road Home homeless shelter. And so we try to do a lot in the community with what we can with our numbers. And so my passion in trucks has led to the ability to and the opportunity to give back to the community. And that's been a very meaningful part of leading the club.
And how, we'll put this on the links and stuff. But how? What's your Instagram where people can kind of check out the trucks you have and your group?
Yeah, so the club is C10 Club Utah underscore official. The show is C10 Red Rock Retreat. And then my personal Instagram page is Grandpa Buds 72 Chev.
Yeah.
That one you can see the my green and white truck, and then I've got a couple other trucks as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so after we had lunch, I jumped on, followed you on your page, and you told this story to me about you were down in Moab, and you were just you're setting up for this event, this fundraiser for the county that assisted you 20 years ago, and
Mhm.
you're rolling through town, and for whatever reason, your taillights were out. Or
Yeah,
whatever that
yeah,
story was. Not,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not doing it justice, but um, and well, you if you want to tell it, pick it up from there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we were down there right before the show getting ready and got pulled over right on Main Street from one of the Grand County deputies. I had a tail light out and I was aware of it. I had a little electrical issue and he was really nice, didn't give me a ticket or anything. He came up to the window and I said, "Hey, I'm actually the guy doing the fundraiser." And he just said, "That's you." I was like, yeah." So told me to fix the tail light. And then we're at the show 2 weeks later. We were doing a large cruise up one of the canyons, and the sheriffs and the Moab City Police were really great. They showed up and they shut down the roads. They were kind of helping with crowd control. We had almost 300 trucks in that cruise, so it was kind of a mess, if you can imagine. And he was there, and he said, "Hey, long time no see." And I said, "Hey, man, I got to be honest with you right now. That tail light's still out." And he kind of got on me and said, "Hey, you've had plenty of time." And I showed him and said, "I've got the bulbs right on my dash, but they just keep burning out." And he kind of laughed about it. But after the show, I was um, my sponsor, upcarparts.com, sent me some new tail lights, some LED tail lights, and I've installed those. They're all fixed. I sent some pictures to Deputy Turok, and I hear he's sleeping better at night now.
Yeah,
So,
good.
um,
And
but they're a great community down there, and the whole Moab community has just really embraced us and supported us from the top, from the mayor, the Grand County Commissioner, all the way down to the Parks Department, and everybody have really been supportive of us in our efforts there to make a difference in their community. So that's been very humbling and fun to make friends with some of those officers down there, and
yeah, and the irony and the beautiful irony of a young man on a camping trip leaving the tent to go, you know, do nature's natural thing,
yeah,
falling 80 feet and then 20 years later, having the opportunity to create a way for fundraising and when you had I actually went home the day after we had the day we had lunch and told my wife about you and your experience and how that injury potentially not potentially life threatening, life altering, and life changing, and by choosing a path of I am, it literally, it's created this way for you to, and I love what you said earlier about this pressure. There's something here for you to do that you're going to, there's a lot of, I agree with you about that. There's a lot of pressure there, but however, that is more of a measuring stick, so to speak. What you're doing is what you're doing, and it is the to have the perspective of like, no, this is my life, and this is what I enjoy, and this is what I'm. To me, that's actually magnificent. It's super expansive. We talk about the Albert Einsteins or the Nikola Teslas or those guys or whatever. Yeah, they did some great things too, but Chase does great things too, and it's like, oh, everybody does great things, and from that perspective of every life matters, every choice matters, learning to overcome adversity through empowered will, and creating experiences along the way with your family, with your children, with the car world, the old Chevy world. Told you my dad had a 71, and it was the first, was that orange color we talked about. And the name of the color.
Hugger orange, yeah.
Hugger orange, baby. And I remember I was 3 or 4 years old, and I remember him bringing that home, pulling the driveway, and I just, a little dude. I was a little dude, right? And this feeling that he had of just beaming of his new truck. This is his very first one he'd ordered from Chevy. And I remember that just, I remember the color, and I remember the feeling that I experienced from him about that truck. And so I wish we still had it, like like your grandpa, kept in your family, and you've brought that forth. So, um, what would you say to folks that are experiencing um, their own adversity, their own, whether it's a physical injury or something like that that's been life altering? What would you say? Not in the form of advice, but more like, hey, some ideas, some things that work for you, some things maybe you do every day currently to stay empowered.
Well, I think the path of adversity can be very difficult and daunting for people. For a lot of people, the immediate reaction is just to give up and to kind of, hide from problems. And so I think that my advice would be, um, you got to believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you got to keep moving towards it. If you give up or tell yourself you can or you won't ever make it there, then you'll limit yourself and you won't make it there. And you have to use empowering statements every day. Believe in yourself and tell yourself, I will make it there someday. I will have that house, that car, that life that I dream of. Um, and that's a big thing, I think, is just empowering yourself. Um, I think
Appreciate
that's
that.
my
Yeah,
biggest advice.
I love it. And brother, thanks for coming on the Two Thumbs Up podcast today. We're super grateful for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll definitely post your links to this, and let people know what you're doing, the great things in the community. Love to have you back sometime. I do appreciate your time, and
Yeah,
great.
and
Yeah,
for all your listeners, we're a nonprofit 501(c)(3), and we accept donations for everything we do in the community. So it's tax deductible, um, and you can find that information on our website, c10clubutah.com.
awesome. Thanks, Chase. We love you.
Okay.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for sharing your life with us, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Bye.